Hello, everyone. Let's begin this series of conversations. I am Dr. Raghav Malik, cataract and refractive surgeon at Center for Sight, and we are going to start this series of conversations. And I, as a host, am very excited to bring to you this series. Why? Because इस सीरीज में हम सिर्फ ऑप्थेल्मोलॉजी या मेडिसिन डिस्कस नहीं करेंगे. वी आर गोइंग इनटू द ह्यूमन साइड ऑफ द मेडिसिन. सो बेसिकली डॉक्टर के माइंड में क्या चलता है, डॉक्टर की स्टोरी क्या है. So we are going to be on the other side of the microscope, so we know the story and the journey of the operating surgeon. Today, our spotlight is on refractive surgery, and our first guest today is none other than Dr. Rupal Shah. Welcome, ma'am.
Thanks.
It's a very big honor of mine to introduce ma'am to you all. So the fraternity of ophthalmology and beyond knows ma'am very, very well. She's very popular. She is very fondly known as the queen or the mother of the smile surgery. So I'll just give you a small introduction of ma'am. So ma'am started her refractive surgery journey in 1994. And to put things into perspective, I was just 4 years old then, not even in class 1.
Thank you for making me feel so old.
That's when ma'am did her first LASIK surgery. And it's now in 2024 or rather 25, we're just jumping into, and ma'am is still one of the top refractive surgeons of our country. She was the first in the world to do the single incision smile surgery as it is today. And she was the pioneer and the first initial researcher who was helping Zeiss to bring smile into the world. She also was the first person in the world to do the Circle software, which is used to do enhancements after smile surgery. मैम थोड़ा डिटेल में बताएंगे उसके बारे में. I won't keep the talk very technical, थोड़ा casual रखेंगे. But ma'am has trained 2,000 ophthalmologists in refractive surgery till date. 2,000. I am one of them. And ma'am conducts an annual, is it annual or semi-annual, ma'am?
No, semi-annual.
It's a semi-annual intensive LASIK workshop. The 77th was just wrapped up, which was attended by 20 ophthalmologists.
More than that.
More than 20 ophthalmologists, refractive surgeons who ma'am trains every 6 months. So you can imagine how much experience she has. She has done more than 1 lakh refractive surgeries till now, which I don't know if that is the most in the world, but yes, it is a very, very high number. And also ma'am was invited to AAO 2020 on the subspecialty day, which is also a very big achievement in itself. I can go on and on and on. Ma'am has won so many awards and medals for refractive surgery. Ma'am, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, Raghav. It's been some time since I've felt so good. Thank you. You can do the introduction again.
But these stats are staggering, ma'am. They are so humbling to be in the same room as you and to get the opportunity to learn with you and to be your colleague, if I may call myself that.
Course.
That is truly a humbling experience.
Thank you so much.
So, ma'am, I'll just start. I'll go into it. I just want to know that how was the journey for you? Being
The
a
refractive
woman?
surgery
Refractive
journey?
surgery. I just want to know the refractive surgery part of
I
it.
think that's the journey that I would really want to describe. I started doing refractive surgery in 1994. I was also quite young, not as young as you, but not very old either. It was the beginning of the career. The lasers were new. There were only 2 laser centers in the whole of India when we got the laser to Mumbai first. And it was an experience of a lifetime because it was something totally new. We didn't know whether it would work. We were actually trading on to the unknown with no money, no experience, and no overall experience of the laser treatments all across the world. So nothing to back on to. But we just ventured into it like an adventure. And we had to undergo a lot of ups and downs before we could actually find our bearing and started making new centers. We started with the first center in Mumbai in 1994, the next one in Vadodara in 1996. And after that, there was no looking back. And one by one, we started putting up centers all across India. And by the time we merged with Center for Sight, which was even at that time a really advanced looking chain of eye hospitals across India, we had 22 of those laser centers in our kitty. So it was really a merger which was meant to be, because we were looking at a person who would be able to take this forward and also retain the value. And that's where we found Center for Sight.
But ma'am, I want to know that, okay, I would say I am the third generation of refractive surgeons. You were the first. At that time, so we are just following your footsteps. We know what the surgery is. We know what the lasers are, the types of surgeries. Now there are advancements in technology.
Yes.
But for your time when there was, you had no YouTube, you had no videos, you probably...
Yeah, everything was self-learned.
There were not
we
even books.
made our mistakes.
Yes, there were not even books back then.
Yes.
Because books were written
books
by
were
you.
also very, very few.
Yes.
And there were very few experienced people all across the world with very few years of experience. Because in the world, the laser refractive surgery actually started only by 87, 88. Wow. So we were the early people to start the refractive surgery in India. And so I would not say that we didn't make our mistakes. We did make our mistakes. We learned from that. And that's how the LASIK course came into being, because we didn't want the wheel to be reinvented. We wanted the same mistakes not to be repeated by other people. And it was also a need, because we wanted to set up centers where we needed experienced doctors. So we trained initially our own doctors and put them up in those centers. But then there was a demand from all over, because the laser refractive surgery started becoming very popular all across the world. And before the FDA approval occurred, the process of FDA approval went through in the US, the world was ready for it. And there was already multiple centers in the Europe as well as other parts of the world. But in India itself, we were much ahead of the US. And that has been the case in refractive surgery, I think, even today.
I believe so, ma'am, because even at my age, I'm at the early part of my career, but still with possibly the population जो हमारी country में है, इतने सारे patients की demands हैं, so I think we are far ahead of the West.
You are also yourself involved in the silk study, aren't you, Raghav?
Yes, I am, ma'am. But today is all about you. I want to know about your journey. कि वो आपका first case, that first LASIK. I'm sure, ma'am, you did your LASIK
No,
first?
I started with PRK.
Okay.
But the first PRK was also quite exhilarating, because it was something that we never thought that we would be able to do in India at that age and that time. And the results were speaking for themselves. So it was really a very, very exciting path that we thought we had taken. We worked really hard to make it a success. We went around learning from wherever we could. So I went to Germany soon after. So I left my 5-month-old baby at home and went to Germany to look at the procedures and see the results, learn the correct techniques, came back in a couple of weeks and started the first center in India, in Bombay. From there on, we went around in the entire Gujarat and Maharashtra and some part of Kolkata and a lot of parts of Andhra Pradesh, where we set up all these centers. And we did a lot of public awareness programs. So we would hire a hall and give a very nice video presentation of what the procedure involves, what care needs to be taken, who can do it, in simple little video of about half an hour. And after that, we would have a conversation with the audience. And that used to work really well because there was so much interest generated. And I remember once in Ahmedabad when we conducted this program, we needed to repeat it 3 times because the hall was so full.
Wow.
And it was like a big town hall where people were sitting even on the aisles and the steps. So that was the excitement at that time.
Okay.
And from then on, it has now become a norm. So if somebody is wearing glasses today, they know that they can go to a LASIK center and get it done. And there are a number of options available today of the way in which you can do laser refractive surgery, with a lot of price points. So it can cater to almost everybody's needs and can give good results today with the maturity of the procedures that it has achieved.
I want to shift to the other side of the microscope, ma'am. Right now, we have patients who are very well informed. They know what a LASIK is, what a silk is.
Too
what's
well
smile.
informed, I think.
They are too well informed or misinformed.
And too well informed for their own good.
Yes.
Because
yes.
what we learned over a period of 30, 40, 50 years, they are trying to learn from a 50 minutes podcast. And that doesn't work, believe me. Because it's not really giving the information which is totally correct. It would give you information, but not knowledge.
So it's like trying to learn to fly a plane using a video game.
Exactly. So I'm not saying that we should not be following podcasts. I'm not saying that we should not be listening to people or looking at all the information that is available to us. But we should also leave it to the treating doctor to decide for yourself what is going to be the best treatment option for you. There is no one cap fits all.
Yes.
Okay, there is no one solution for all the refractive problems that are there in the world. And therefore, there are different techniques which are still surviving. So only your treating doctor can decide what is going to work the best for you. And no one particular type or brand of surgery can be the best possible surgery which is applicable to everybody.
Okay.
And I think that point has to be put forward because there is a misconception in people's mind that a so-and-so procedure gives you supervision and that is the only procedure possible. So I sometimes find today people coming and asking that I want to do X procedure, I want to do Y procedure, are you using this brand of laser? Are you using this this latest brand? It does not matter. Even Mercedes, people driving in Mercedes or sitting in Mercedes come across accidents.
Yes.
It's also the person behind the wheel that counts and the condition of the roads.
Okay.
So both the things are important. Don't go. So this is an appeal to everyone who is listening to this. Don't go by a brand. Don't go by a procedure. Don't go by a person's word. Just think and trust your doctor and decide about yourself to get the best procedure done for you.
Ma'am, I just want to briefly ask you about how the patient's psychology or the patient's thinking has changed way back in 1994. When the patient, had
there is a
very
big change.
little information.
Big
Think of the
change.
patient who had no idea what the patient is undergoing. What was going through the patient's mind at that time?
It's so important, Raghav. This question is the best question that you have asked me. So when we started doing it, I remember I used to counsel my patients myself. And it used to take almost half an hour to examine a patient and 45 minutes to counsel a patient.
Yes.
Because we needed to tell them everything from the structure of the eye to the procedures that there were only 2 or 3 procedures available, but to give them all the options with the pros and cons and tell them exactly what they should expect and what they need pre and post. Today, most patients have bypassed all this. They just come and they ask you about what brand of laser are you using, are you doing so-and-so procedure, and what is the cost. They are not bothered about anything else. And that is something which is, in a way, not so good for the procedure as well as for the patient. For the doctor, sometimes it's an easy choice because if somebody comes asking for it, you want to give it. But it's not something that would always work the best in that person's favor.
I tell my patients that doing the surgery is the easiest job.
Exactly.
It's just a 5-minute procedure.
Absolutely.
In and out, surgery is done.
And that you're doing day in and out.
Yes. It's about what the patient is going to get after the procedure and what he faces. That's what we have to
and
discuss
what he
with the
understands
patient.
he is going to get after the procedure. Before he actually undergoes the procedure is what is important.
Okay.
So But it is an interesting field.
Oh, yes.
You get to come
definitely.
across all young, enthusiastic people in their very knowledgeable, very interesting. So more than the surgery part, I enjoy now interacting with the people who are coming to get the refractive surgery done for so many different variations, so many reasons. And the reasons have gone much beyond the cosmetic reason
Yes.
that was cited initially.
Yes.
It was never cosmetic. Believe me, laser refractive surgery was never solely cosmetic. It was branded as cosmetic because most people would do it for cosmetic purpose, to get married, to look better, to get a better prospects in terms of career, in terms of marriage. But today it is changing. So initially when there were only marriageable girls who were getting it done, it is now equal in gender.
Yes.
There are also older people who are more towards presbyopic age who want to get rid of their glasses
Yes.
simply because of the convenience and also because they can afford it now.
Yes. Yes.
And the downtime is really, really low. So if you do a laser procedure today, you're back to work tomorrow. So you're not really spending any valuable time just recovering from a procedure. And that has made all the difference.
That's a very wonderful point you made, ma'am, because I think most of our audience would not know that myopia can go up to -30 also.
Yes.
Yes. So
and
it
there
is-
are alternatives,
there are alternatives.
for treatment options there. So
So for a person who has a -20 power, I don't think it's a cosmetic procedure anymore.
not at all.
It becomes a necessity.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's
For the quality and quantity of
yes,
vision.
Yes. Yes.